welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. We are going to be talking about a new youth initiative, which is going to change any problems with all of St. Lucie County's youth. So I'm always optimistic. Anyway, well, we hope it will, or it can. And we have three great guests today. And let's start with Shanique Maynard. And Shanique, you are the executive director of the Roundtable of St. Lucie County, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. For those of us in the system, so to speak, we know what that is. But for viewers who don't, just give me a little short definition, if you will, of what the Executive Roundtable is and what you do.
Definitely. The Roundtable of St. Lucie County is a coalition of community leaders, chief executive leaders, from all across our county, from the sheriff's office, chiefs of police, superintendent of schools, executive directors of United Way, Children's Services Council, all of the agencies across our county that have a vested interest in dealing with children's issues.
Right.
And what they do is come up with a common agenda across the county for how to improve outcomes for our youth. It's been operating for about 20 years, and we have a number of initiatives.
And it's actually, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, it's actually statutory. I mean, wasn't it? It's a legislative initiative, so to speak.
Well, it started under a federal grant by the Juvenile Office of Justice and Delinquency Prevention.
Right.
And they came down, and the initial idea was, how do we coordinate across what all of us are doing to make sure we're on the same page about what we do with respect to our youth.
And not duplicating efforts,
Not duplicating services, not duplicating resources.
Right.
And so we call it the Roundtable because it's really about everyone putting down their swords and sitting around the table and doing what's best for kids.
Great.
And I've been the executive director now for about a year.
Okay.
And we just have a number of great initiatives, from Kids at Hope to Bridges Out of Poverty to Restoring the Village, which we'll talk about today.
Oh, great. Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and then next to her is Monica Jacobson, who is the project coordinator of Restoring the Village initiative.
Yes. And
Okay.
and I am. I've been on board for now about 5 months.
Okay.
And I come from a background of conflict resolution and management. I've been a practitioner and worked in communities with conflict and gangs, both here in the U.S. and internationally, for about 15 years now.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've been a resident of St. Lucie County for about 8 years.
So how did you find her? How did you get her on board?
Oh, well, so as you know, when we talked about the last time I was here, I was a federal prosecutor for 8 years, and then I came over to the Roundtable. And one of the main initiatives that I wanted to work on was how we address gang violence and homicides and shootings on the streets of Fort Pierce. And so when we decided we were going to utilize a model that's a national model on dealing with violence in communities, especially amongst youth. And one of the first steps you have to do in that process is to hire a project coordinator to coordinate the program. So we advertised, I believe, in December that we had this opening, and we had 53 applicants.
Wow.
And Monica's...
she won.
Monica's background, I mean, with the conflict resolution, doing it domestically, doing it internationally. It was a very intimidating interview process. She was interviewed by 5 or 6 members of the Roundtable who are obviously chief executives, and then a panel of about 8 members from the community, from the Lincoln Park community. And she got the job.
Wow. Oh, great. Well, thank you. And we're going to hear about this in a minute. We're going to, it'll all come together, folks. Darcy McFoley, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you're the community outreach worker. What the heck is that?
Well, the outreach worker is we the foot soldiers of this project. When we go out hands-on with the clients the clients that meet this criteria, and we be like they hand. We help them. We provide services for them, we help mentor them, and we help break those barriers that may stand in their way. And we just there to just make that one-on-one connection with the young men or women that needs help. So we like they big brother, role model. Most of them might be a father figure. So we just want to be a help in the community with those young men and women that's going through different issues in life.
Okay. Let's back up just a little bit. And Shanique, you can probably answer this, kind of tie this together. So the Executive Roundtable in this community that has been doing this for 20 years and deciding what are the problems in our community for involving children, and what can we do to solve those. You decided then, I guess, among you that gang violence and serious crime activity was what, your number one priority for this year or for the next few years?
Yes.
Okay. And then it was from that decision that you decided, well, what should we do about that?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And then this was born.
Yes.
Okay, so did you have a template to go from? Has somebody else in another not country, state or jurisdiction done this and you decided to emulate it? How did this happen?
Yes. So, as I said, for 20 years, the Roundtable has been focusing on initiatives for youth. One of our most popular initiatives is Kids at Hope.
Right.
And the mission and the foundation of Kids at Hope is that all children are capable of success,
Right.
no exceptions.
Right.
And but one of the things we found over the last couple years is that we did have some children in our community that were kind of falling off the grid and getting
Yeah.
into this very dangerous,
Right.
high-risk behavior. We do prevention.
It's one thing to promote
Yes.
them to be the best they can be. It's another thing to make sure they don't kill somebody.
Yes,
You know?
and to say all kids are capable, but what do we do with those kids?
Right,
Right?
right.
So, couple years ago, we started looking, Representative Larry Lee started Restoring the Village as a
Right.
movement in this community. He held several town hall meetings, one of which was attended by over 1,100 residents.
Okay.
And
what area are you targeting?
the North Fort Pierce, Lincoln Park area of
Okay,
Fort Pierce.
okay.
And those town hall meetings, one of the things the residents said to the leaders who were sitting on the panel, we've got to find a best practice. We got to stop just coming up with ideas because those aren't working. Let's look around the country and see what other communities have done and how they've developed models to deal with violence.
Right,
So
right.
the Roundtable then started looking at best practices around the country. We brought down an expert from Kentucky to tell us about what they do there. We looked at Boston Safe Streets, which is a police program that hires outreach workers.
Right.
And then we found out about a model by the National Gang Center called the Comprehensive Gang Model. And that model focuses like a laser target on gang-involved youth and youth who are engaging in high-risk, dangerous behavior. And it wraps them in services to provide opportunities, to do social intervention. It talks about mobilizing the community, all the residents, getting the youth, getting the parents, everyone engaged. And so after looking at all these models, a team went to Texas to be trained on the National Gang Center's model.
Okay.
And we really liked it because it tied having your top level leaders, which in our community would be the Roundtable,
Right.
with hiring street outreach workers. In a lot of communities, they just have the outreach workers, but there's only so much a person like Darcy can do
Right,
to open
sure.
up doors
Sure.
for a young person in a gang
Sure.
if he doesn't have the backing of our community's leaders.
Right.
And so we love the comprehensive gang model because it tied together an organization like the Roundtable with actually getting people out there on the streets to work with these kids.
So how many, Darcy, how many people are working with you?
Well, at this time, we have 3 other outreach workers.
Okay.
We have 2 full-timers, we have 2 part-timers, so it's a total of 4 of us.
Wow. And Monica, fill in the blanks a little bit. So Shanique has let us, given us the overview. We know that there is gang violence in Fort Pierce, unfortunately. We know we got to stop it. Maybe you can answer this question, and I'm jumping around a little bit, but how young are we talking about? I mean, when I think of gang violence, I'm not thinking of youth, I mean, certainly in my job, I think, we see it all, but seriously, the general public is not thinking of a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old involved. Are they that young? I mean, what?
Yeah, unfortunately, there are kids that are that young that are engaging in this risky behavior. We have used a tool to collect data to try and laser focus on our particular target population. And what we have right now is we're going to be focusing on 16 to 24-year-olds in this particular neighborhood as our primary target. We will also be looking at younger kids that are involved but that don't necessarily fit those criteria, and we will provide services and other placements for them.
Okay, so we've got we know the problem. We've got the concept. We've got outreach. We've got all this. What do? Just scoop them off the street and send them to softball class or what? No, how does it, seriously, what are we doing?
It is a big and kind of complicated process, really,
yeah.
but I'll break it down. What we do is we have a referral process.
Okay.
And we have
who gives the referrals?
Anybody can really refer a kid to the program. Right now, we have agencies like law enforcement, Department of Juvenile Justice, the schools. They have referred kids to us. We already have about 35 kids.
That they think are at risk for gang. Wow. Okay.
And they fill out certain information about them. From there on, we have a team of interveners that consists of a wide range of community organizations, social services agencies, and we take each kid and we sit down and we share information and we figure out what are the needs and the challenges this person have. And then each of us on that team provide services for that.
Okay.
Darcy and the outreach workers are a key component of that. They are the voice of the client in that meeting. They will go out and find out information and bring that to the table. They will find out not only the challenges, but also, and that's really important, their hopes and dreams and what we can do for them to move them forward.
And kind of you're out pounding the streets to kind of really get the real pulse and be in the neighborhoods and see, what are they taught? Let's say John has been designated as someone who's at risk for being involved in gangs. Do you go out in the community, Darcy, and just kind of see what Fred thinks about John and who he's hanging with and that kind of, okay.
Of course, we go out and we collect information in the community about certain individuals, and once we make contact with the individual, we try to offer them a better way, offer them hope. It's saying you don't really have to, take part in this, but what you want to do in life, what you like, what you want to be. And we find that good point in that person and we try to bring it out. And it might be kind of barriers that hinder them, like they might not be in school. So my job is I try to do all I can take to get that person back in school. I hook them up with resources that the round table provide. We hook them up with resources, career sources, to get them back in school, to get career goals going for them. And my job is to be that hand on hand to make sure they get there. Or if they're scared, I'll be there with them. So I'm that person that is constantly motivating them to, you can do it.
Right.
So.
Well, okay, do you get parent buy-in? Is that a necessary element? Is it not a necessary element? I would think if they're at that level of potential violence, if you will, I'm wondering how much parental buy-in you ever had. Let's talk about that.
We think it's very important to get parent buy-in if possible. Obviously, a lot of these youth come from really difficult circumstances.
I was going to say,
it may not be realistic, but one of the things we love about the model is it focuses not just on the youth, but on the whole family.
Right.
So part of Darcy's role is to, and all of our role, really, is to make sure we're opening up opportunities, not just for that youth, but for their parents, if they have children themselves, what are all the barriers that family is facing? If there's substance abuse, if there's mental health, are there jobs needed? Because we know that we can, and we've tried to do this for a while. You can take the child out of the environment. A person that I know uses an analogy about fish. You can take the fish out of the dirty pond, clean the fish up, but then they go right back to that pond.
Right.
And so our goal is to wrap that entire family with services and with support and with the opportunities to make the right choice. Now, we know people won't always take the choice that you give them.
Right.
And so a key component of this is a strong relationship with law enforcement and the suppression component and making sure that very, very dangerous offenders are taken off the street. But we also know that not every person in a gang has shot somebody.
Absolutely.
And I know you know that, and it's an escalation. And so the notion is if we can intervene
before it escalates
to that and get them a person, and Darcy has a phenomenal story and a phenomenal background that makes him uniquely suited for this kind of work.
So tell us. Tell us your great story.
Well, born and raised in St. Lucie County, attended the local school, graduated from Lincoln Park Academy, attended RSC, got involved with the wrong crowd.
At what age did you get involved with wrong?
Unfortunately, I got involved at 18, 19, so I was through high school, graduated.
Wow.
So I wasn't brought up in that type of environment. I chose to go out in that type of environment. And since I went in that type of environment, I got caught up in some things. I ended up going to prison twice, being convicted as a career criminal in St. Lucie County. And by the grace of a higher power, grace of God, you know, I was able to turn my life around and with key people, having good role models there to help me, my wife and my pastor, and so it was able to help me see that I was somebody. So all the things I dreamed about, it wasn't over with. So I came to a point in life where I felt like I needed to go help these young men and women that's going through the same struggles that I went through coming up, that they don't have to make those same choices. So I've been where they at. I've been on the streets. I used to sell drugs. I used to be involved in gang activities. So I know what it's like to be one of those individuals.
Well, so how old are you now?
I'm 35.
Okay. And how long were you in prison, Darcy?
The first time I went, I did 30 months. The second time I went, I did 24 months.
Wow.
And within, like, from the age of, I say 22 to 28, it was like I probably had a good 3 years total on the street. So back and forth in jail or prison.
Right.
So, you know, I spent most of my 20s incarcerated.
Well, did your awakening come while you were in prison, or you done 2 stints and you came out and somebody intervened at that point?
Well, my awakening came in 2008 when I was in St. Lucie County Jail. I was facing 15 years for a possession charge. Then the state had habitualized me for a career criminal.
Sure.
And so that was another 15 years on top of that. Then once that really hit my head, I'm like, you know,
what am I doing?
Yeah, what I'm doing, and I was really finna leave the community for a long time. So I did what I was taught. I went to God. So I asked him, if you help me in this situation, you help me get out, I promise that I'd do the right things or try to do the right things. And 2 weeks later, I got out of jail. Put it like that. Some people call it coincidence or luck, but I know what happened for me. So once I got out, I just stuck to that word, and he been putting people in my path to help me to keep my promise. So it put mentors in my path. Like Shanice's father, Pastor Mills, you know, I used to go to Bible Way Soul Saving Station when I was a youngster. So he put him back in my path. So I had men and women, and my wife, mother is my pastor. So and my brother-in-law is a mentor of mine, and he's over the men and women of the sword. So God was putting people in my path to help me to turn my life around and to make positive decisions and to see I could be somebody. So it was when I was in jail, facing a lot of time with that bulb that went out of my head.
No, I got it. I got it.
I'm like, I'm 29. I was 28 and facing 30 years, and I ain't have any kids. I'm like, I know I wasn't created to be in prison 30 years, and so it just clicked off and saying, well, you need to start making the right decision if I get another chance. And I was given another chance in life, so I'm trying to take the best of it.
So you really know, I mean, so obviously you're a believer, you know it can happen. But let's go back in time. Do you feel, Darcy, that if this had come into your life prior to you getting arrested, really getting in bad trouble, and this intervention had happened, it would have stopped that?
I shared this with my supervisor, Monica, and on one of the staff meetings that, like I said, I was raised up in that environment, so I chose to go in that environment. But when I was coming up, I had great men, great mentors in my life. And I was telling Monica, when my grandma had passed, I used that as a crutch to kind of do what I want to do, because she was the one that really governed me, where I know I had to make good grades, I had to be respectful, I had to do this and do that.
Right.
Because my grandma was she governed me. So when she passed, I used that as a crutch to really like say I could get buck wild and do what I want to do.
Yeah, and that, so obviously, if she had stayed alive and been a strong force in your life, you wouldn't have happened.
And also, I was sharing like a couple of my mentors. If I was out there on the street and I had those same mentors that was in my life, where they came out and see me doing what I was doing, and they would constantly be like, "Hey, you know, you wasn't raised like this. You know, you."
It would have been different.
It would have been different because I would have had that thought in my mind over and over. They beating down the block. They see me, they pulling me to the side. Hey, you know you're supposed to be out here. You know you're supposed to be doing this. So they beating down the block because I felt like they was concerned about my well-being. And that's the position I'm able to play now with these young men. I could beat down the block for them. To be that person constantly, hey, man, you know you could do better. You know you could get in school. You could be someone. You could be a doctor, lawyer, whatever you want to be. I'm here to help you to succeed that in life. And not like Shanice said, it's not just about that individual, but it's about the whole family. And so, you know, I've been through it.
Well, you know, the other thing, the great thing that I'm seeing, you know, I know about all these programs and initiatives. I mean, this is my world for, you know, a long time now. But I think what makes this initiative unique and different is actually, Darcy, your participation, because Monica, I mean, you can probably weigh in on this better than I can, but you know, we can all, I mean, come on, I don't know, I wouldn't know a gang if it came, I mean, you know what I'm saying? But that's not my background. That's not what you know, I'm used to, but. You know, we can all sit around an executive round table and talk about how bad things are and how we want to change this and do something all day long, but you really need somebody out there in the streets, in the hood, so to speak, doing the hard work, because, you know, as educated and as smart as you are, for example, on this, you got to have the other component, correct?
Absolutely. I'm in the middle of everything.
Right, which
operation.
is...
My hands are in a lot of different things, but the street is Darcy and the outreach workers' responsibility. We couldn't do this job without them.
Well, and Darcy couldn't do it without you either. I mean, you know, let's be real. I'm not mitigating your import. I'm just saying that it's an alchemy, a blending of real smart people who know what the heck's going on and have all the research, combined with somebody, you know, somebody in hands-on.
Absolutely. We talk about this all the time, how we are completely dependent on each other.
Right.
We are a team. Whatever they can't do, I can make happen. What I can't make happen, the round table can make happen. And those connections, having that open communication, those relationships, we're lucky here because we already have established the round table.
I end up saying that every show, how lucky we are in this community.
Yes. But we're also making that mid-level connection. These are the top leaders. Then we have another network of people that are more the doers.
Yeah.
And then we have the people that
in
are
the trenches.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all of us together, those are the pieces that is making this a success.
And this is really, I think we're hitting on the magic of the model. And
this
can work in our community.
Right.
You know, and because we've done case management before, and we've had professionals sit around and talk about what's going on with these kids, but now we have an outreach worker who can come and say, you know, Johnny doesn't even have a bed. You know?
Yeah, we got a problem.
We got a problem here. Before we talk about job training and stuff.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't have a bed.
Yeah,
you know?
he couldn't get enough rest to go to the job.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
Right.
And so that knowledge coming to the table, we can get a bed, you know, we can do those things. We can do those basic things. And I want to say about Darcy, I'm so proud of him because since 2008, you know, I mean, we did background checks for our outreach workers. We knew that some would come to the table with history. That's actually, in many ways, what makes them effective.
Oh, exactly.
But since 2008, Darcy has not been in, there's not even an arrest. There's not even a negative encounter with police. So when we're talking about turning life around, he's an example. He can really be an example to a young person.
Well, and you can talk to
change.
them on their level. Look, I was there. Let me tell you, this isn't a hotel. You're not lifting weights. You're not smoking cigarettes. You know, but no, that's wonderful. Well, what Now, how long has this actually been in place and you've started doing it? Months or?
So we've been working for about a year to lay the foundation.
Okay.
And that was really getting funding. We're supported by several grants.
Okay.
Hiring Monica, then hiring our outreach workers. They just came on board at the beginning of September.
Okay, so
They've-
we're just getting
Yes.
geared up,
They've
amped up.
spent the
Okay.
entire month getting trained by National Gang Center and others, and the Gang Center is providing technical support throughout this. And so as Monica said, we're now looking for referrals. Community members, agencies, we're looking for, and the referral criteria is on the Roundtable website,
Okay.
and that's www.roundtableslc.com.
So if Joe Blotz that's watching this TV show says, hey, I got a kid that needs help, I want to refer him, you don't have to be an executive, you can be, and just
send it to us. And some of the referral criteria, because we are looking for youth who are really involved.
Right.
So our referral criteria, engaged in high-risk street activity, has criminal history, maybe a weapons carrier, maybe has been shot or recently coming out of prison or jail. Those are the kinds of youth that we want referred to our project.
And you say you already have 35, or that's going to be your cap, or?
No. That's our initial referrals. We want to make sure that we onboard them properly, that this is a new initiative, that we get everything straight. At full capacity, we could have 75 kids at high level contact. But they will be coming in and out depending on moving. So
through the years, the older I get, the more jaundiced I become sometimes. But I do believe in this, and I do believe so often we all make the mistake that the only way we're going to get money or buy-in from the community or whatever is if we help 20,000 people, and you can stand in front of a group and talk about numbers. Well, you know what? Sometimes helping 75 kids will make more of a difference if you really help them than helping 20,000 a little bit. You're going to make more of an impact if you make sure that you've changed their lives. Then but the tendency is to want us to throw out numbers, but oh no, I'm right with you. And you're not going to believe this, but we have like 30 seconds left. So anything you want to say? I'm so proud of you, Darcy, and what you've done with your life. And miracles happen. I see it every day. I do. And for those of you out in the community that don't believe, they do. They do. But anyway.
Monica, do you want to tell them how to where your office is and how to contact you?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, our offices are located in City Hall, actually, on the second floor. And if you want to refer a client, you can go on the Roundtable's website. You can give me a call. My number is 772-448-3120. Or you can fax a referral form to us at 772-448-3126.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.